Hi guys, my name is Chelsea and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, we have my January and February book haul. One of my reading goals in 2020 was to purchase fewer books so that I would have less of them on my TBR. So my basic rule is for every 2 books that I read that are not rereads, I do get to purchase 1 new book that I have not read before. So I read 10 books in January. One of them does not count just because it was a reread, so that's 9. And then I'm currently reading my 7th book for February, and none of those are rereads. So I technically have read 16 books, or at least that's what I'm going with, in January and February, which means I should have at the most 8 books to haul for you guys. I do have a little bit more than that, but that's because I do have a few books that, according to me, but also my husband, who I have brought in on all of my, I guess, tiny little loopholes that I have, do not count. So the first of those books are going to be anything that we have for my son. So none of his books count. I have been hauling baby and picture books since I think when I was pregnant, so even before he was born. But these books I'm gonna keep continuing to haul. They do not count towards my 2020 reading goal. But at the end of January, we did have Lunar New Year, Chinese New Year, and so we do have some books for that. One of them is going to be Chinese New Year Colors. This is by Rich Lowe, and it's just a book of colors with the English and the Chinese down here. We do have the character as well as the Mandarin translation, and it's all just pictures of things from Chinese New Year. So they have lots of different colors. They even have pink, cerulean, which is a really interesting one, I feel like, and then the other one that I find interesting is the last one here, maroon. So this actually has all the major colors plus like cerulean, turquoise, gold, maroon. So this is actually really cute. I love this a lot, especially because it has both languages on it. Then we also picked up Lunar New Year by Hannah Elliott. So this is part of the Celebrate the World series. They also have Ramadan, Dia de los Muertos, and Diwali. So there's a lot of, you know, good stuff in here. I love the illustrations, and this just gives a lot of information about Chinese New Year, Lunar New Year. And then the last one we picked up for Lunar New Year was Mulan's Lunar New Year. Mulan is my absolute favorite Disney princess movie. I absolutely love it, and so this was one that I had seen in Barnes & Noble when I was working there before I had a kid, and then as soon as it rolled around again this year for Lunar New Year, I had to pick it up. This one here is by Natasha Yim. And then the last book that we purchased for my son, this one actually we did purchase in February, is Pig the Tourist by Erin Blabby. This is a series of children's books that I absolutely love. We own every single Pig the Pug book. It is freaking adorable. They have really cute illustrations, and it rhymes, which is one of my favorite things in children's books, and we read these all the time. Then we do have 2 more books that don't count in the fact that I purchased them before 2020 started. So we have Wicked Bite by Janine Frost. This is the 2nd book in the Night Rebel series, which is a spin-off series of the Night Huntress series, which I absolutely love. There's quite a few books out. This is a paranormal romance with vampires. I don't know what this 2nd one in the series is about, because I don't even really know what the 1st one in the series is about, because I haven't read it yet. I have read all of Night Huntress, I've read most of Night Prince, and I have not started Night Rebel yet because these are after the Night Prince books. I really want to do a reread of this series and catch back up, but I did pre-order this in December because I got it signed. So this does not count for the January-February book haul, but it did come in the beginning of February because it was published at the end of January. Had to get signed and shipped to me. And then we also have Mare Internum. This is going to be by Dershing Hilmer. This one was a Kickstarter that I actually funded back in 2018. I don't actually know which month, but it's a graphic novel. I think it was originally an online graphic novel, but I don't think it was finished at that time because what the person ended up having to do was finish writing and drawing everything of the graphic novel and then get it, you know, made. But they also had some health issues in the middle of all of that, so that's why it ended up taking longer for this one to come in. It was supposed to come in sometime at the beginning of 2019, ended up coming in January of 2020. I have not read it yet. It is a huge and heavy book, but I'm super excited for it. I don't fully remember what it's about because it's been so long since I funded it, but the back does say 2 scientists from Earth discover an ocean deep below the surface of Mars, and they are not alone. So I do believe this is a like sci-fi, possibly horror as well, and I'm very, very excited for it. Now we're going to move into the books that I actually did purchase in January and February. One of the books I purchased and actually read in January was Reverie by Ryan LaSala, and then this one was from our January shelf crate. This one is Ashlords by Scott Rankin. So this is another fantasy that reminds me a little bit of the Scorpio Races by Maggie Stiefvater in the fact that we do have like horses that are fantasy based, and there is going to be some sort of horse race. I have not read this yet. The difference definitely is these are more alchemy driven, and the horses are phoenix horses. I don't know if that's what they're called, but they like burst into flames every night and have to be reborn every morning. So definite interesting fantasy alchemy type of vibes. Shelf Love Crate for this year in 2020 is also doing specialized dust jackets. So this was the cover that Shelf Love Crate sent with it along with the original one. I do find it very interesting that they're doing this, and I'm very intrigued to see what other covers we're going to be getting this year. Then I did take a trip to Barnes & Noble in February. 2 of the things I got were volumes 1 and 2 of Die. Volume 1 is Fantasy Heartbreaker. Volume 2 is Split the Party, and this is by Kieran Gillen. This is a graphic novel series or comic bind-up series. I say graphic novel when I mean comic bind-up sometimes. Don't hold that against me. About role players who, when they were teenagers, ended up like in the fantasy role-playing game. When they returned, one of them was not back with them. I don't know if that means they actually died or not. We'll have to see. Now this is going to be set in the future when they're, I think, in their 30s, and they're having to like sort of deal with the aftermath of what happened, and I think there's going to be some like extra fantasy elements. I'm not too sure. I have loved everything that I've ever read with Kieran Gillen's name on it, so I'm looking forward to these for sure. I'm gonna have to get to them very, very soon. And then last but not least, I purchased the entirety of the new covers for the Lunar Chronicles series. So this is where my loophole comes in a little bit. The first 2 books, according to me and my husband, don't count for my read 2 books, get to purchase 1, because I have read them before. So these 2 count, these 2 don't. This is a sci-fi series that I'm sure a lot of people know about, written by Marissa Meyer, and it is retellings, sort of very, very common fairy tales, but in the fantasy setting, all the fairy tale characters eventually interconnect. So our first one here is Cinder, then we have Scarlet, Cress, and Winter. I, like I said, absolutely love these covers, and I unhauled my first copies of the first 3 books in beginning of January. I think I started pulling stuff off my shelves in December, but I did the unhaul in January because I knew I was going to purchase these. These ones came out at the very beginning of February. Basically, the week that they came out, I went and had to purchase them because they are so gorgeous. I also love that they're like really, really floppy paperbacks. And I'm dying to get back into the series. I read the first 2 books years ago and never picked up books 3 and 4 to actually read. I had book 3 but not book 4. Now I have all 4, and I'm very, very excited to jump back into here. So I'm doing pretty well with the book thing because, like I said, I get to purchase 1 book for every 2 new books I read. whether it's an ebook or a normal book. I'm just trying to lower my TBR a little bit. That's the main goal of this. So books that I purchased that I've already read don't count. And so for the combined January and February, I have 6 books, technically, that I purchased when I was able to get 8. So I have 2 extra book spots that I can roll over to other months. I will probably be doing book hauls every other month just because I'm not planning on buying a whole bunch of books based on this reading goal I have for myself, and I'm really hoping I stick to it. This was something that after I redid my bookshelves and filmed my bookshelf tour, I realized I have way too many TBR books. I don't actually even know the exact number yet, but I want to try to get the TBR down at least a little bit by the end of this year. So I'm really trying to focus on reading more TBR books and not purchasing unread books as much. I do sometimes find that I want to purchase books I've already read, like as an ebook or something, and that will not count. I will still show you guys if I do end up doing that. I don't do it very often, but books that I've already read before and I want to own a physical copy do not count for that goal. Thank you, Leon, for basically enabling me just a little bit. If you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up to let me know. Subscribe to this channel if you would like to see other videos. I do have videos up Mondays and Thursdays, so I will see you then. Bye.